gonna be doing it by either another elder that they talk to, tell them, but y'all gonna have the same sigil, but y'all gonna be to touch different parts of the land.
Absolutely. And that's how
Right.
crazy a part of this part of my journey is, because this is like a part of my journey. Like, I'm with my moms right now. You feel me? I got taken away from my moms when I was 5 years old. I found my moms back on my own when I was 14. So I'm with my moms right now. Mom, say what up the rod.
Hey. She kept up the speaker. I can't hear nothing. I can hear you now.
Okay, blessings to you. I'm always ahead of yours. I'm always putting Florida water on you on TV. I'm always touching you. I'm always praying for you. I love you, and I thank you so much. I thank you so much. You something else.
How can I lose with that kind of love and energy behind me?
That's right. You can't. You can't. You can't. But I'm telling you, you've been with us every single day on this journey. Like my son told you, we've been all over getting all these downloads. We've been even sharing what we have and leaving the things behind that need to be left behind. So you see, Grandma, she go everywhere with us right here. That's the matriarch right there. South Carolina. And so she is the one that's giving us all our clues, giving us our fire and everything. But most of all, the love for ourselves.
So your son said y'all going to South Carolina soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a Gullah Geechee family there. I don't know who they is, and you don't know who they is.
Okay.
But this is what you're going to ask for: the big mama with the chocolate skin and the white hair.
Big mama with the chocolate skin and the white hair. Okay.
Right. You're going to know that it's the right one because she's not going to look old, but her hair is going to be snow white.
Makes sense.
Right. And she's going to give you your mission, your purpose to in restoring the matriarchy.
Yes.
Now, she might not talk straight English to you. She might talk coded to you.
Maybe like this. Maybe that's what I got.
And then when you talk to her like that, she gonna talk to you back just like that, straight.
Yep.
Because she'll know that you remember the old ways.
Yes. Yes.
And then she gonna know who sent you.
This is gonna make everything exactly worth being back in this realm for. After having 9 children, I'll have 8 grands. I'm 52 years old, born and raised in New York City, so you already know what I've been through. Okay, penitentiaries, drugs, anything you could think of. Okay, so I know that I'm useful for humanity and for the rest of my children all over the world.
And you can't argue with that. That's how we get to see. Everybody wants somebody to be perfect. You have to work towards perfection. And in the journey and the path, it don't mean you ain't gonna get dirty along the way.
You're gonna get filthy.
Because you're gonna make mistake after mistake because you're learning.
Yeah, and the best part of it is learning yourself with it all being squeezed and perplexed and crushed down. The biggest part of my journey that I learned was learning myself while I was going through these things. What were my thoughts? How was I feeling? Even about family members that don't believe in this. Family members that just, and being able to set that to the side. But everything's going well.
For the ones who don't believe, it ain't their time yet.
Yes.
Especially if you know they part of the clan. They need to see the clans recovering from the slumber.
My son say that all the time. And that's why he feels so empowered to keep moving and not have no relationships. He's a beautiful young man. He's not even with his children, and he's with me. So I know this is my Haru, out of all of my sons and out of all of my children, I have this one designated to me that is Maximo's Power Hotton. And he's on his father's side is Power Hotton. And my mother and everybody's from South Carolina. Yeah.
That's probably why you get the message to ask for the lady with the chocolate skin and the white hair.
Yes. Yeah,
You might have to go find her in the church somewhere.
I believe it.
But she'll be the church mother, and everybody will appreciate her wisdom and guidance because she was guiding them from the inside of the church while the devil was spitting venom from the pulpit.
Mm-hmm. And she
That's why,
made it through all of that.
and that's why we always had a section of church mothers in there because they know the devil gonna be spitting the lies from the pulpit. We are not allowed to openly tell each other who we is without getting murdered.
Mm.
So the big mamas in the church just kept cultural practices alive because one of them gonna raise a chief that's gonna remember the old ways and see where they at.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how
Mm-hmm.
we gonna be refining the big mamas across the land.
Yep.
So all of the work is actively in progress, but we can't see it because it's not played out in the public as a spectacle.
Mm-hmm.
But what's in the public is what's in the public domain. We use social media to follow our oral tradition to inform the clans across the land that we back for every motherfucking thing they owe.
Yep. Yep. It's absolutely true.
So people don't understand why I don't have gatherings in places. See, they want that because that's how they gonna say you running a cult and trump
Yes.
up a case on you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? So I already done seen it too many times. I seen what they done to Giant Africa
Yes. Yes.
in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
I seen what they done to David Koresh. Right? I seen what they done to RASHAD JAMAL.
Yes.
I seen what they done to Malachi Z. York. Right? I seen what they, how you doing?
Oh, really good. Oh, let me turn my camera up. I was enjoying the live, just watching.
What's your name, sweetie? Where you calling from?
Sideria from Georgia.
I
Yeah,
remember you.
yeah, I remember you too. I was watching the live. I really liked tonight's live, you know. Y'all are such like genuine people. Oh, last time we talked, I reached out to, you know, like someone to talk to, like a therapist, and she helped out a lot, you know, because I kind of deal with a little bit of depression. So, but it's okay. She helped me have good like communication and stuff. And tonight's live was really good to like think about, you know, culture and autonomy and self accountability, you know. And so it really brought out a lot with the live because well, one thing I learned is that I need to, you know, not research too much. I mean, it's a good thing to be book smarts and street smarts and stuff, and to learn stuff and educational wise, but I'm actually starting to not research too much where it gets away with life stuff, you know, like, you know, feeding myself and yeah, and socializing. Yeah.
Well, you gotta remember, you don't have to be obsessed with studying, but you can always take a book. So if you're waiting somewhere, you can read a couple pages, right? The book ain't stopping you from going where you're going, and it's giving you something to do to not waste time waiting in vain,
Yeah.
right? So you can take your studies on the go with you.
Yeah. Because I realize I think I'm like a scholar, you know? I have an itch to read about just weird things that be so cool. And then I find out myself because I want to see it, you know? And then I be watching it be just simple things like mushrooms, you know? I like to learn about, you know, property and land because one day I do want to own land. I want to have like, not a farm, but I do want to have like a big lot for myself. And I want to just, you know, tend to the land and maybe even see a weird looking mushroom, you know, and I just be watching them grow and stuff. But yeah, with the accountability and learning about our culture and stuff, that's like a big deal. And what we did in the you know, past, we're kind of doing it right now. And a lot of people don't realize it, that we are actually a very autonomic people, you know, original people, very autonomous, built ourselves up without, you know, a lot of help. And one thing is that a lot of people took that from us, you know, and it's not fair, you know, and we're gonna take it back. It's really cool that we're learning that, to fend for ourselves, you know, and doing it ourselves. And I think that's what we're learning for ourselves too. So,
Well, you got to remember this: the better you build yourself, the more useful you are to the most amount of people.
yeah.
You can do more good by building yourself first than if you deplete yourself before you finish building yourself.
That's
It's
pretty.
it's a process. Many of us try to help other people before we get built up sufficiently strong enough to carry that load, and it end up breaking us, either financially, mentally, emotionally. But once we get the self, I call this constructive selfishness. If you can take care of yourself and make yourself valuable to your community, where you can be an asset everywhere you go, or your other option is to overburden yourself before you're ready and crumble. It would be better to build yourself up on your own terms so that you can do the most amount of good. Because if you allow it to break you down, then you're no good to yourself or nobody else.
Yeah.
So you got to be good to yourself for yourself first before you can be of any use of good to anyone else. That's why I tell women, take at least an hour a day to get you some me time. You know, whether you want to read a book, take a bath, or smoke a blunt, sit in the motherfucking shade, drink a beer, you got to get that chance to unwind so that you can be strong enough to face the next day.
Yeah. So I learned that a lot about myself, taking care of myself, and it helped me because what I want to do, I want to well, one, I want to own property. That's one. And then two, I want to be someone that research biological sexualities. Something's like a sexual, like a what's a geneticist, but they some form of something, I don't know. I'm going to do more research on it, but I want to research biological sexualities, and they're there. It's just we don't.
That's a field of psychology,
Yeah.
and it has an extensive amount of research material that falls under that banner.
Yeah.
All right. And
That's
yeah, I read quite a bit of
yeah.
psychological childhood sexual development, and some of the books and experiments they did to get the information is absolutely repulsive.
Yeah.
It is horrible.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be in the field, you have to be exposed to the horrible nature of being in that field. What the children went through to get the information to write about their sexuality was pure and unadulterated exploitation of a child. But the child was used in science as a sacrifice. And that's what make the research into that field of study so traumatic for me personally.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know why they teach children about sex, but I want to focus on the biological reproductions of adults, and not just adults, I'm talking about animals, insects, plants, and chemicals, and oxygen. You know, they're all types of reproductive systems that just doesn't have a penis or a vagina. You know, I'm talking about your entire system. For example, your hair, you know, your eyes, your organs, that all plays a part in your reproductive system. And that is called your sexuality, of biological sexuality. And most people focus on just only the penis and the vagina area and the baby coming out. One plants the seed, one comes out, and the baby coming out. That's not the only process. That's the final results. That's the ending process. That's not the case when it comes to your organs, you know? So I just really like, I'm really into that stuff. And a lot of people can't really explain biological sexualities to different species because they don't have the finances, or people die in the jungle or something. I actually ask people, like, why don't they actually give us our proper identification? And they're just like, oh, the military and all that stuff, that costs money. And, you know, people die early, you know, people don't live long. And I was like, what? Yeah, it was crazy. But that's what I want to do. But first, I'm focusing on myself, though. I'm trying to, you know, heal myself, you know, to, you know, get out of, you know, depression and stuff, you know, because I'm dealing with that. But because I researched too much, mainly on that
Do
topic.
you know that one of the most unknown causes of depression is malnutrition?
Yes, the food that I be eating. I'm a little skeptical about everything that I eat. Sometimes I don't feed myself, and I'm in malnutrition. I did tell my therapist I need to talk to a nutritionist, and she said you should, because you're very, you know, detail orientated and picky on what you eat. And I am, you know, and sometimes I give up and I binge and I choose processed foods because I hate that, you know, I'm angry. It's angry. I try to pick stuff that's crunchy, you know, and it's processed. And I get so angry and I'm mad, and I get and I binge. And that's what I do sometimes. Like,
So this is the exercise you should start to practice. When you start feeling that way,
okay.
you use self-talk.
Oh,
Why do I feel this way? What's the root cause? Instead of giving in to the drive created by feeling a certain way, by turning it into a learning of self-experience, you take away all of the toxic behaviors that feeling certain ways can cause. And the more toxic behaviors you purge from the self, the more functional you are in communication with others.
yeah. Because, yeah, sometimes I don't know how to communicate correctly. I had speech therapy some months ago, and that really did help me communicate my thesis on biological sexualities. That did help me communicate correctly with people. Because a lot of people thought I was talking about, you know, gay people. And I was like, no, I'm specifically focusing on the biological. And they're like, but there's only one biological sexuality, and it's heterosexual. And I was like, that's actually not true. Heterosexuality tells you, explains to you the final demonstration. It's not telling you the process of your organs and how the whole procreation even
Well,
happened.
you got to look at what you looking at is only one part of what's taking place in the biology of the species anyway. So when you're talking about sexuality, you're talking about a very specific part of functionality. When you're talking about biological, you're talking about it in relation to the body. So the sexuality in relation to the body is different than the psychological expression of the sexuality. The physiological expression of the sexuality, what you do with your body to show your sexual feelings to the world. This is the same way that different species of animals have mating rituals that make them adorn themselves with stuff that's foreign to the bird or whatever the species is in order to allure a mate. Some species allure a mate by building a home. Others lure a mate by stealing a home, right? All of these different things we see in nature, we can see it all play out with people. Because even though we think that we so smart and intelligent, we still have a natural function as a species that we don't deviate from. But when you talk biological sexuality, you're talking about one specific thing. But when you give the description, you're describing multiple things under the heading of a thing that all of them don't apply.
I think you just touched something. I need to look into that more, because maybe I'm just not putting the right words correctly. But I am saying something that's about to happen. I don't know what it is. I'm not saying I see the future. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. And when you do what you're supposed to do, I guess you get gifts, to put it in big terms. But I am talking about something